Today's episode is brought to you by our fantasy coaching carousel game. We teased it for weeks. At long last, you can finally play it for free. Head on out to solidverbal.com/carousel. If you're interested, we'll talk more about it on the episode too.
Welcome to the Solid Verbal. And now, Dan and Ty.
Dan Rubenstein, week 11 is upon us, my friend. It is a pleasure to be back with you as we preach all the goodness of the college football ether to our wonderful verballerhood. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Good. Have you heard the good news? Week 11 is going to be fun. So, yes, Ty,
Hey.
I am very excited for week 11. I am excited for, I think we're going to be getting more football weather, right? I think we're going to be getting some more cold, some more rain. The leaves have finally really dramatically started changing here. I think the shots in and out of commercials are going to be electric with autumnal vibes, Ty.
A lot of foliage, that type of thing in the
foliage.
greater Northeast and around the country.
Oh, the colors, the reds, the oranges, the hues
Oranges.
are going to be spectacular. No, this is great, Ty. We're going to have football weather throughout this great land, and we're going to have, I think, a lot of heat on the field regardless, Ty. And I'm thinking maybe some upsets. I'm thinking maybe because we're going to talk more about the college football playoff rankings picture, you're going to start seeing some more graphics during these games, and aside like, hey, so what does A&M need to do? What does BYU need to show? A lot of those types of conversations now that it's November.
That is correct. Well, listen, a couple bits of housekeeping before we go any further.
Please.
First and foremost, head on out to verballers.com. You can play in our Run the Board game for week 11. If you win, $150 gift card to DoorDash. Buy yourself something good as you're watching the games one of these weekends. It's the least we can do for your support. Again, verballers.com is where you can go to sign up as a certified
Yeah.
or premium member and support what we are doing. Beyond that, please make sure you give us a phone call at 855-VERBAL-3 throughout the course of your week 11 as you're watching the games, as stuff comes to mind, as you've got something to say. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to play some of our favorites on Saturday night when we do our live stream. And last but not least, not to bury the lead or anything,
Okay.
but we have the coaching carousel game up. At
Man.
long last, the game is up. Go to solidverbal.com/carousel. The way it works, there are obviously 9 openings right now. First, you have to pick 4 more that you think might come open. Doesn't matter if the coach gets fired or if coach leaves, it still counts the same.
Yep.
That's the first step. The second is then you got to match up the openings with the coach. Along the way, you get points for one of the schools opening, one of the coaches leaving. If by chance you should guess the correct marriage, all of that, you can share it with your family and friends. We would encourage you to do so. We're still working on prizes for that one, but we've had a bunch of people sign up already. We barely even announced it. So I think there's going to be a lot of interest in it. If nothing more, it's just going to be a lot of fun. So
Yes.
again, it's solidverbal.com/carousel. No requirements. They're going to sign up for anything. Free for all to play if you just want to join the verballerhood and partake in what should be some good, clean madness as this coaching cycle plows on.
I would argue it is the most socially acceptable fantasy divorce pool that you could run. I advise against doing one of those in standard form, but I think this is great. I think this, right, that we are going to exclude any email addresses that may be tied to Jimmy Sexton or Trace Armstrong. We are filtering out any suspicious activity from any agency, but otherwise there will be prizing, there will be drama, there will be news excitement. I can't wait.
So I guess on the heels of you talking about some autumnal vibes that you're picking up,
Yeah.
is that to imply that you're going to go with like Sycamore Saturday?
Oh, good reference. No, I'm not going Sycamore Saturday. That's a tree, right?
It is a tree, yeah.
Tree is a sycamore. No, I was looking at the matchups here, and we have reached the point of the season where teams can go into a couple of different directions if things are going poorly, right? We make the 1, 2, 3 Cancun jokes about like just trying to get to Christmas break and get out of town, get somewhere warm, and load up for the recruiting class, the portal time, and figure out what to do next year. Or they're the teams who want to finish strong. They're the teams who seize an opportunity to play spoiler. They're the teams who sort of have nothing to lose. Your John Wick teams, your Bride from Kill Bill teams, where they're just like, you know what? It's November. Let's figure out our own private warpath.
Yeah.
And when I looked at the slate this week and I see teams on there playing in big games like Wisconsin taking on Washington, ranked in the newest college football playoff rankings. Mississippi State is hosting Georgia. Penn State has been in this position a couple of times this year since moving on from James Franklin in their games against Iowa and Ohio State. But now this week they have Indiana. LSU moving on from Brian Kelly taking on Bama. Auburn this week. Boston College taking on SMU in a potential letdown spot for SMU after their win. Auburn has, who does Auburn have this week? I had it down here and then I lost it, but Auburn is one of those teams. Auburn is taking on Vanderbilt. Okay, Vanderbilt top 15 team. So I have this as a screw it Saturday.
Why? Because them, that's why.
That's exactly why. You know what? Screw it.
Screw it.
Let's do it this week. And it's easy to get up if you have the right roster of, emotional, focused dudes to say, why not us this week? Let's just go out and do something crazy and beat so-and-so. So I have it as a screw it Saturday because I do think one of those teams is going to successfully screw it. How about that?
Yeah. Well, look, it's coming down the stretch now. It is about to be week 11. We've got a number of games on our docket that we're going to go through over the next hour or so. Go back and listen to the Tuesday episode where we did a deeper dive of the BYU Texas Tech game, in addition to the Oregon Iowa game. You told me that out on YouTube, people didn't quite get the joke about my locks.
Yeah, well, you made the lock, locking up Oregon and winning by 10 or whatever at Kinnick because you wanted to be goofy and take it to me because you've been terrible at making picks. And the responses have been like, the arrogance involved with the gentleman on the left.
Perfect.
Which I appreciate. I always love. We spent, 10 minutes talking about how tough of a game it's going to be for both of these teams, and you make a goof at the end. The arrogance. So
arrogant.
I always appreciate it. Yeah, no, I think there's a good amount at the top this week, especially with what game day is going to Lubbock for Texas Tech BYU. There's a good amount at the top. There's a good amount of opportunity for unforeseen drama, snake in the toilet Saturday style, if you will. And I can't wait. So, yeah, we discussed those two games on the Tuesday episode. You've gotten some pushback for not mentioning Texas A&M in the SEC home stretch race, as in likeliest to play in the SEC championship game, just using projections, and they are, of course, number 3 in the country right now.
Sure.
So I don't know if the floor is yours or if you stand by your omission. But
oh no, I mean, listen. Here's the deal.
Active Tuesday show.
It was based on projections.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas A&M is undefeated right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go based on the projections that I was looking at, Texas is favored to beat Texas A&M. I probably should have specified that.
Right.
I didn't. And I think that was a source of confusion. But I think anybody who's listened to this show for any period of time, at least throughout the course of this season, I'm all in on A&M.
Yeah.
I was talking up A&M when we were doing our SEC preview as a playoff team, as a contender. I think I had them in the SEC title game.
Right.
So I really like this team. I have from the start. And it's not so much personal opinion that I think they're not going to make that game. I'm just going based on projections. And I think the broader point is just that while it is silly season on the coaching side, and while it is also CFP ranking season, which we'll get to in a second, it is also tiebreaker season. And I would say at least 3 of the 4 power conferences stand to have some pretty funky tiebreakers, which I am all in for.
Right.
And I am definitely excited about. I mean, no disrespect to our Aggie brethren out there. I love the team. I'm excited to see where they go. I'd be even more excited if Mike Elko took the Penn State job. But
I was going to say, you're not against sending anonymous texts to the Elko family saying super livable area of PA. You talk about autumnal vibes. It's violent on those trees. I've seen it. It is beautiful country.
So look, why don't we get into this first?
Yeah.
We do have some breaking news. Boop, 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 boop. The first college football playoff rankings were revealed on Tuesday evening. They are as follows. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Indiana. Number 3, the aforementioned Texas A&M Aggies. Number 4, Alabama. Those would be your top 4 teams, the ones getting buys. Beyond that, it would be a 5-12 matchup, Georgia hosting Memphis. It would be a 6-11 matchup with Ole Miss hosting Virginia. It would be a 7-10 matchup with BYU hosting Notre Dame. And it would be an 8-9 matchup with Texas Tech hosting Oregon. Of note here, we were only a few off with the projected bracket, I should say, that we put out on our Tuesday episode. A few teams were jostled about here. The committee felt differently. I think about BYU, Ole Miss, they were a little bit higher on. Oregon, they were a little bit lower. But by and large, we got the first 4 right. We got the teams right.
Right.
It was really just a matter of placement. Of course, this kicks off a whole round of speculation. I saw our friend Ari Wasserman talking about Notre Dame versus Miami versus whatever. I mean,
what was his
we're going to
stance?
have this conversation. Yeah, I understand it.
No. What was his stance? I mean, what was he saying about Notre Dame versus Miami versus whoever?
I believe his stance was, he thinks Notre Dame was ranked a little too high. And if I'm wrong about that, then Ari can tell me and we'll make amends. I'll say mea culpa. But I believe the sentiment that I was picking up on just as I was perusing social media was that at least at present, he believes Notre Dame is ranked too high, which is fine if that's your opinion.
Sure.
Of course, there is this whole other complicating factor now that Miami also has 2 losses and Notre Dame is ranked like 8 spots above them in the polls. But alas, Dan,
by the way,
nevertheless, as I've been told to say in place of alas.
Oh, please.
Any reaction to what you saw on the ranking side?
Well, it's always funny to me because this is going to be constant catching stray season, right? That
yes,
you are going to evaluate a team's resume and say, the typical, they haven't played anybody. They beat up on a bunch of cupcakes. And you're like, wait a minute, I root for that cupcake. Are you calling Clemson a cupcake? There's been a bunch of teams that have been disappointing that otherwise would have been resume builders. But now beating Clemson or Florida State or Florida or Auburn or Penn State, any of those types of teams isn't viewed in the same lens, in the same way. And so we got it last year with, looking at Alabama's resume and they lost to Oklahoma. Gross. And so that's the season where we are entered into. And so as an Oregon person, Oregon is lower than, I guess, the AP poll, right? The AP and coaches poll. But on a certain level, I get it because their performance this last month, they destroyed Rutgers, but otherwise struggled offensively for stretches against Wisconsin, even with Dante Moore in the game. Certainly struggled on offense against Indiana in a losing effort. So you understand that Oregon, with limited opportunities to show out against quality teams, hasn't. And so not even that Wisconsin is a quality team at this point. So that's the question. And, BYU, winning is better than losing. And even though some of those games have been close or they've fallen behind and it hasn't been a pretty 4 straight quarter performance, BYU's winning. Texas Tech has been winning. They have a loss, but Texas Tech has been quite impressive. And so there's no part of me as a person interested in Oregon's success that thinks to myself, why are they number 5? Like, Oregon has the opportunity to win out and get into the playoff comfortably, beating Iowa, Washington, USC, and Minnesota. So early November, rankings to me, it's not a big deal.
So the 2 things that jumped out to me when I saw this bracket, the very first is last season. I remember when we looked at the final bracket and it was clear that a team like Penn State, relative to the field, seemed to have a pretty easy road into the semifinals. And they did.
Yes.
They beat up on SMU. They beat up on Boise State. That was a very clear pathway to get them into that semifinal game. As I'm looking at this bracket right now, I don't see any of those clean roads through to the semifinals. It seems maybe because of the straight seeding model that they adopted. My gosh, I can't speak today.
Yeah,
I need
both
more
of them work.
Coffee. It doesn't seem as though there is quite so easy and an obviously easy road to get into that semifinal matchup with whoever. So that's good, I think, as a spectator. The second thing, it doesn't take much. It takes like a stiff breeze of wind, gust of wind, to get us a solid Verbowl between Oregon and Notre Dame.
Be ideal, Ty. I wouldn't hate going to Notre Dame. I mean, I kind of would because it's December in Indiana. It's just going to be real
take
cold.
Much. Per this first set of rankings, they're going to change like 8 times.
Yeah.
Oregon is 9. Notre Dame is 10. If they both slide up one spot, suddenly Oregon's the 8, Notre Dame's the 9, and then they would play.
This is true.
In Eugene that first weekend of the playoff. So there is an opportunity here for a solid Verbowl, provided nothing comes off the swivel. I should say the third and final thing, and then we're going to move on because we got a bunch of games to talk about.
Yeah.
Because of the way that this is set up. Right now, they've got Virginia in as the 11. They've got Memphis in as the 12.
Mm-hmm.
The way that the playoff is set up, again, the 5 highest seeded conference champions are the ones that get in.
Yes.
By virtue of Virginia not being in the top 12, but being the projected ACC champion, by virtue of Memphis being the group of 6 representative winning the American, that would knock number 11 and number 12 out of the playoff. Those 2 teams are Texas and Oklahoma. This is another thing you got to start watching for. You got to see how high Virginia can climb. They've got a big game coming up here in 2 weeks, or I guess next week, against Duke, which I think is going to have a pretty big bearing on what goes down in the ACC. We got to watch that ACC race, I think, a little bit closer to figure out if it's going to be the top 11, the top 12, to find out if it's just going to be the top 10 that make it through into this field, plus 2 other conference champions. That's where you start talking about bubble teams and whatnot. We're still a little bit too far away, I think, to dig in too deep on that front, but just something to keep on the radar screen, because there are definitely, much like we saw last year, some teams that could swoop in, even if they're outside the top 12, and take spots away from teams that the committee has ranked a little higher.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Look, we're evaluating a lot of these things looking forward, but I think the big questions are going to come with 2 lost teams, and you're evaluating the losses, you're evaluating the wins, and who can have the most impressive, the most impressive 2. We talk about this all the time. Who is going to be, we're going to have teams like Utah, potentially Oregon, Notre Dame, maybe Miami. I mean, if Texas only loses 2 games, I guess that means they won the SEC. Sure. Oklahoma, potentially. There's a lot here. And the interesting thing, too, is when you evaluate these teams up against each other, maybe Alabama ends up with a second loss, maybe they don't, whatever. The Tide have the worst loss of any of these teams in the conversation. So once again, we might be talking about that, though they only stand with 1 loss right now. But when you look across the sport, I think what's going to go a long way in determining the at-large nature of this conversation is just which ACC teams start losing. Right? Because there's just a good grip of them with only 1 loss. They're all of good quality, but when that starts getting chipped away at, then the picture will become clearer.
Solidverbal@gmail.com is where you can write in if you've got something to say about the first batch of playoff rankings. Again, they weren't all that different.
No.
From the Verballer top 12. Everybody has finally come home and realized that we have the superior poll, the limber poll.
The limber
as
poll.
you've been saying for months, Dan. Want to preview some games?
Let's do it.
Dan, Ty, help. I need picks of the week.
So, in response to my real point spread,
okay,
I'm told that I missed a golden opportunity to call it Ty's point spread.
Of course.
Which could be shortened to a TPS report.
He's also been having some problems with his TPS reports.
I have seen Office Space perhaps more than any other movie ever made.
Okay. Well, you do look like Ron Livingston, like a little.
I've been told that I look like Ron Livingston.
Yeah.
It is one of the greatest professional failures of my career that I did not pick up on that sooner. So I appreciate the Verballers who pointed it out. I will make no such mistake again. I've got the sound at the ready.
That's probably not even our 4th Office Space sound drop on this show.
I have many Office
That's what I'm saying. This isn't even
show.
just introducing it for the first time. Continue.
I don't think I have the TPS one, though.
No, we don't have the
I found other ones, but I didn't find that
You
one.
have the jump to conclusion, Matt one. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, you call it a Screw It Saturday. What I'd say is that the theme of the longer previews that we're going to do here to start, 4 of them, is you've got top 5 teams that are either on the road or in another matchup that, we would normally consider a centerpiece for the weekend.
Sure.
That being the Alabama LSU game. But we do have some interesting matchups with some of the top teams in this first batch of rankings on the road. The first of which is at high noon. It's on Fox. It is number 2 Indiana, a 14.5-point favorite.
Wow, that's a lot of potatoes.
Yes,
On the road at my Penn State Nittany Lions, Dan.
Yes.
So, 2 crazy things. If I told you at the beginning of the season that Indiana would potentially go 3-0 in road games against Iowa, Oregon, and Penn State, what would you have said to that?
That they're probably number 1 or 2 in the country.
Or you would have looked at me like I had 2 heads.
Yeah, that too.
But here we sit, and Indiana is a healthy favorite. They will probably win on the road at Penn State. They will probably end up 3-0 in those matchups. They are probably going to go 12-0 regular season and find their way into the Big Ten title, perhaps against Ohio State if they can get by Michigan, okay?
Sure.
The second thing is this, and speaking of Ohio State, for all the talk about Ohio State's defense, which, by the way, is like a brick wall and is amazing, Indiana has not allowed more than 14 offensive points all season long. And that was the first game of the year against Old Dominion, and it was on 2 long runs by the quarterback.
Yes, it was like the first play and the last play as well. Yeah.
Bookended the game.
Yeah.
Nobody in the Big Ten has scored more than 13 offensive points. That's Michigan State, that's Iowa, that's Oregon. All only got to 13 if you take out the safety against Iowa, if you take out the pick 6 against Oregon.
Yep.
And so to the point of this game, I do not see Penn State scoring more than that. I don't think suddenly there's going to be this offensive explosion. They're going to find something that the other teams didn't. They're just not going to be able to do that with this quarterback, with the way that this offense has played so far this year.
Yeah.
So you're going to need a lot more than that to beat Indiana, in my opinion. I don't think it's a question of whether or not Indiana is going to beat Penn State. I think it's a question more whether Indiana is going to beat the point spread.
Okay.
And so they've been pretty good at doing that this year. They're like 66% against the spread, but when they cover comfortably. They beat it by like an average of 14 points. So, all that being said, Dan Rubenstein, you know where I stand. I feel pretty good about Indiana winning this game. It really is, to me, a matter of point spread.
Sure.
Minus 14.5. How do you feel here?
I'm curious about this game. I have highlighted that I'm almost positive I like Indiana. I guess the only thing that gives me pause here was the way Indiana performed last year in a similar spot. I think it was at home, though, against Michigan, where Michigan didn't really have much of an offense to speak of last season, certainly not through the air. Penn State, not built exactly the same way as that Michigan team, but I don't think anybody's counting on the Nittany Lions to throw all that well against Indiana, that if they're going to have success on offense, it's going to come on the ground. And they're pairing that with a talented, somewhat successful defense, that there is the potential for Penn State to just muck it up but lose. The game is in Happy Valley, which is, that's a check mark for Penn State. So the potential of that Indiana, even running through their schedule last season, they weren't winning by double digits every week. They weren't winning by 40 every week. This is not an Indiana team that has a look ahead. This is not Indiana that has a letdown. The only other thing that I'd be concerned about in confidently picking Indiana, because I don't see a way for Penn State to score 24 points in this game, which I think is bare minimum if you have a cartoonishly successful day defensively. I still think you need to score 24 points to beat Indiana. Is Elijah Surratt beat up? Aiden Fisher's beat up? And they're down, I believe, one of their interior offensive linemen in this game. So during this home stretch, this schedule should not be a terrible challenge for Indiana. But the challenge may be in replicating the production of some of the guys who may be out or dinged up and not playing as much, that Indiana's depth might be tested in November. And we'll just learn more about what this Indiana team is from like a holistic standpoint. But again, you got to get to 24 if you're playing cartoonishly well against Indiana and have a chance to win this game. And I don't see it. I don't see Penn State getting to 24. I think they can get to between 14 and 17. 31-14 is where I landed in this one.
I've got 38-14.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a score like we saw last week against Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling like they're suddenly going to find another gear that we haven't seen yet.
Right.
I think they kind of are what they are. I think most teams are what they are when you get to week 11. And, it's clear that being at home gives them something of an advantage, but it's not as great an advantage simply because the quarterback situation isn't great, simply because the offense as a whole has never really come together and found this next level that we had hoped. Even the defense isn't as good.
No.
As it was a year ago. It's not really even close. You can move the ball on Penn State. So the team as a whole is worse than last year. The team as a whole is hamstrung this year in ways that it wasn't last year.
They did score 24, by the way, against Iowa.
Sure.
A good defense on the road, yeah.
But look, I'm not feeling it for Penn State, and it's not even a knock on Penn State. It's just a weird season. It didn't work out. Playing under an interim coach, I would be surprised if they keep this one within, 10 points, to be honest with you. That would be a real surprise to me. I will obviously root for that. I'm wearing my Penn State shirt here right now, but
right.
38-14 is my final prediction.
Yeah, I think Penn State probably needs 2 defensive touchdowns or like a defensive touchdown and then a punt return to the 3-yard line kind of situation. Like they need to be able to cheat the clock to get points in a pretty major way. Short of that, difficult to see. But it's college football. I mean, it's a big noon game, right? This is Gus and Joel. Not big noon Saturday, so there's not going to be the fanfare. That's, I think, Iowa, Oregon. But, it's still a big deal. It's still a big noon game.
It's still a big deal. I definitely think the crowd will be into it.
Agree.
I am just not of the mind that Penn State's got enough juice to seriously challenge Indiana in this spot. But, I'd be curious to see if Jim Knowles can scheme something up to make Fernando Mendoza, who's been really good this year and basically ironclad.
Mm-hmm.
But can they do something to speed him up and make him a little bit more uncomfortable than we've seen previously? I don't know. But I'm going to be looking for small tells like that, hanging my hat just as a Penn Stater on some of those points throughout the course of this game where it feels like they are putting Indiana in new situations that they're not ready for.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch, hopefully, for a good amount of time.
I think that's true, Dan. So again, your final score is
31-14.
38-14 for me.
Yep.
Let's move on. Let's talk about number 5, Georgia. -7.5 on the road at Mississippi State. This one also at noon. It's on the SEC network. So let me get this straight.
Okay, here we are.
Georgia had a close win in a rivalry last week against Florida.
Can confirm.
They've got a monster game at home against Texas next week. Sandwiched in the middle.
This is correct. If only there were a term that we could
Sandwiched right in the middle, in between those two gigantic matchups. We've got a little old team, Mississippi State.
Yes, we do.
Mississippi State is absolutely going to have upset on the brain. They've had 3 really big games at home thus far, just to refresh everyone's memory. They beat Arizona State. They lost to Tennessee in overtime. Most recently, they also lost to Texas in overtime.
Yes.
They are a very tough out, I would say, just in general, but they are absolutely a tough out when they are playing at home. There are no two ways about it. A long time ago on this show, we coined a term called the letdown-lookahead sandwich.
Oh, look at that sandwich. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry.
Oh, boy.
You could not have scripted this matchup any more to be the original definition of a letdown-lookahead sandwich.
Correct. So
with
you
all
are
that
taking.
being said, with all that being said, how do we feel about Georgia and Mississippi State?
I really like Mississippi State here. I really, really do. Even last year when they were like abominably bad, they gave Georgia a game for a good chunk of that. And that was with a freshman, right? That was MVB last year for Mississippi State.
Yeah, the Van Buren boys, yeah.
The Van Buren boys. The defense has been fixed to an impressive extent, all things considered, to where they were last season. They're moving the ball with Blake Shapen. I think they have one of the more underrated receiver duos in Brennan Thompson and Anthony Evans. Good amount of speed there. a weird, ugly win, but a win nonetheless against Arkansas last week when Arkansas had 18 penalties. That's a lot of penalties. A lot of potatoes, right?
Yeah, I was going to play it. Go ahead. Keep going.
So Mississippi State's on the board. I think situationally it's a good spot. It's always tough to play in Starkville. The weather's going to be good. Georgia's down, I think, a couple of dudes either in rotation or starting in the middle of their defense. Georgia has more talent, but there is something I think gettable still about Georgia's defense. So the line at recording is what, Ty?
The line is 7.5. By the way, the TPS report, the real point spread, the Ty's point spread is Georgia -4. FYI.
Okay.
I did tweak the formula in time for this week, and I think it's going to be better.
Okay. That's where I'm sitting. I could see absolutely. I mean, the easiest pick here is Georgia's offense is ugly, but they get it together to enough of an extent late to win this one close, because that's Georgia's entire season. I think that's what will be on Saturday. I'm going Georgia here, 30-27.
Okay.
I think Georgia pulls it out just because they've been nails late, and Mississippi State hasn't been able to finish in these big moments against Texas, against Tennessee. I'm taking Georgia to win barely.
I mean, something that was bouncing around in my head when I was trying to make sense of this game. Georgia finds ways to win close games, but Mississippi State finds a way to create them.
Yeah, to make them close. Yeah.
And there's some value in that too. And I think Mississippi State, we had somebody ask me, why do I keep saying that Mississippi State's one of the best stories in college football? They had a 3.5 over-under. They were projected to be the worst team in the SEC. And with some of the moves that they made, I mean, there was really no guarantees that this was going to be a better team than we saw a year ago. Certainly the schedule has not done them any favors. It's been a tough schedule.
Yeah.
And I think that they have done a really, really good job building this roster, building this team. They are never out of a game. They are a tough out. They're absolutely a tough out. And some of their, not all of their, even not most of their, but some of their defensive numbers are marginally better than Georgia's. Like overall Georgia's is still better, but like EPA per play and points per drive allowed and some of the nerd stats that you and I like to look at, both of those favor Mississippi State by a nose. So it's not a bad team. It's not a bad defense.
They haven't been out of a game in the fourth quarter this season.
No.
Even the A&M game they were in the fourth quarter. Florida, they were right there. They lose by 2, and then the games we already mentioned continue.
So, if you gave me this matchup 100 times, I would probably take Georgia. 95 of them.
Wow, that's a lot.
This isn't to say that, or maybe not that many, but like the overwhelming majority, I would take Georgia because Georgia's a better team. But I think situationally, given where this game falls, given the fact that this could be a de facto national championship-ish situation, I mean, Mississippi State still has Ole Miss to close out the year in the Egg Bowl. That'll be a big one. But this is a really, really prime opportunity for Mississippi State to influence the college football playoff, to influence the SEC title race. So I've got Georgia winning, but 38-34.
Okay.
Something in that neighborhood. I think you and I are kind of like-minded in that this one could end up being close because Mississippi State finds a way to make these games close.
By the way, Mississippi State, this is a nugget that may only interest me and you. Mississippi State this season has faced the defense: Sam Leavitt, Joey Aguilar, Marcel Reed, DJ Lagway, Arch Manning, and Taylon Green. Their defensive performance in terms of points per drive allowed is identical to Georgia's performance, points per drive allowed. Identical, given after the disastrous nature of their defense last season. That just underscores your broader point of just the step forward that they've taken this year. Their defense is identical to Georgia's this year with those quarterbacks faced. Pretty impressive.
I believe I looked at your Danalytics before jotting this down.
Thank you.
And Georgia's allowed something like 2 points per drive, and Mississippi State has averaged something like 1.99.
Yeah.
It's basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
Basically
Should
the
be great.
same. So this would be a fun matchup. I don't know. We could be way off here, but we both tend to agree here. The Mississippi State plus the points.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to 3:30 ABC. It is number 3, Texas A&M, -7 on the road at number 19, Missouri. The TPS report is A&M -7 as well, so seems to be some alignment there. On the Missouri side, we've got Matt Zollers, the freshman. He is going to get the start for the injured Bo Pribula, who is down for the year, or at least most of the year.
Near you, right? He's from near you? Matt Zollers is from Royersford?
Yeah. So he's from like sort of outside. Saying outside Philly is making it sound like it's closer to Philly than it is.
Within like an hour of Philadelphia.
Yeah. And Bo Prabula is from York, which is a little bit farther west. So these are two PA guys that are steering the ship at the quarterback position, outside of Sam Horn down there at Mizzou.
So Eli Drinkwitz loves his Pennsylvania quarterbacks. Can I interest you?
There were pictures of him when he was younger wearing a Penn State shirt.
Oh,
maybe.
Man.
If you're playing the coaching carousel game, solidverbal.com/carousel.
Yeah.
Maybe something to consider.
Ty's actively trying to influence the market.
I would gladly take Eli Drinkwitz.
Okay, continue.
I thought Matt Zollers looked okay 2 weeks ago against Vandy.
Yeah.
I thought he looked capable. And I read some of the comments that the coaching staff had about Matt Zollers and some of the comments that his teammates had about him. They're not going to try to dumb down the playbook. They're not necessarily adding a bunch of new wrinkles.
And he's not a runner in the way Bo Prabula is.
No, but they feel like they can do a lot of the same stuff.
Okay.
They're not taking stuff out of the playbook, which I think is a testament to how much confidence they feel in this guy. I thought he looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this would be a tough ask of him. And I think the question that I want to see is, can they throw? Can they throw on A&M? If they want to have any chance of winning this game, they got to throw on A&M. Because they've got a good enough rushing attack with Ahmad Hardy.
Which is where A&M is vulnerable, by the way.
Which is where A&M is vulnerable.
Yeah.
But only if there is some balance. If it's a one-dimensional attack, and if Mike Elko and that defensive staff can simply stack the box and stop Ahmad Hardy that way, then it's ball game. Then Mizzou doesn't have a chance. This is why they need to throw. If they can throw, if they can establish some element of balance here, then I think that gives them a fighting chance, but the one-dimensional thing's not going to get it done.
Right.
I would not bet this game. I think there's a good chance it's slow and ugly and right around that 7 number that I mentioned earlier. I do trust A&M more here, and I think ultimately they get the job done. So, if I'm forced to pick, I probably got A&M something along the lines of 31-24-ish, 31-20-ish. But I would not bet this game with any actual American coin.
Right. No, I understand where you're coming from. I like A&M here just because if you're going to don your cap as the engineer of the Underthink Express, it's basically you get Mike Elko, an incredible pass rush and arguably the best third down defense in America, taking on a freshman quarterback.
That's right.
And for whatever potential Matt Zollers has and will even show in this game, this team got blown out last year with an experienced quarterback when we thought positive vibes about Mizzou and they got ripped limb from limb. And I think that was not a Marcel Reed game. I think that was a Connor Wigman game. Yes?
Yep.
But even still, there is something about where this defense is. They're going to stack the box and make Zollers beat them. They have not been a team who, even with Bo Prabula, has been popping them downfield successfully. I just think it's going to be more challenging, even at home. I have A&M winning this game by 17.
17?
Yeah, I have them comfortably winning. If Matt Zollers is not an already game-changing quarterback, it's just very difficult to see him leading an offense to get to the point where they can score, 24 points against A&M?
No.
So it's tough. It's a tough road environment, and it goes against my rubric of, this is a dog at home with a good defense, right?
Yep.
But they're without their starting quarterback, and that changes a little bit of my rubric calculus. So, yeah, I think they win by a couple touchdowns plus.
I am still in on Texas A&M, very much so, in the SEC. I love this team.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be a force if they get to the playoffs. I mean, they're going to be a really tough out just because of the way they play offense and because they're so physical on defense. But I'm just going to say this again, because tiebreakers are something of a novelty for me this time of year. If A&M were to drop one along the way, whether it's this one against Mizzou, whether it's against Texas Slate, doesn't have to be both.
Those are the two biggies, yeah.
Those are the two biggies, but they just drop one of them. the tiebreaker math is not necessarily in their favor just because of all the different variables that come into play here.
Okay.
So I want A&M to win this game. I want A&M to win out because I've been rooting this team on. I like Mike Elko. I like this team a lot. I'm just saying, again, keep that on the back of your mind. Probably like 2 weeks away from really having to pay too much attention to it.
Yeah.
Just know that I've started paying attention to it back at like the early part of October. And I'm just saying right now, that's something that is very much on my radar.
Yeah. This will be, by the way, what these quarterbacks are able to do with their feet. We know Marcel Reed is proven in that department. These quarterbacks will be staring down the two of the best 5 or 6 pass rushes in America in this game. So footwork, scrambles, improvising, seems like it's going to be huge. And I don't even, I like these offensive lines fine. I really like Texas A&M's, but even still, these are two lines that are going to be collapsing pockets. They're going to be making life hell in the backfield, it seems.
And both off of a bye as well.
Both off of a bye.
7:30 ABC, LSU unranked.
What? That doesn't sound right. Fact check that.
On the road at number 4, Alabama. Alabama is a 10-point favorite, Dan. Wow.
Wow, that's a lot of potatoes.
Let's play it again, man. So this is a good matchup, right? This is one that we normally look forward to this weekend every single year. We all remember that 9-6 matchup back in 2011, probably when about half of our listeners were 10 years old. So showing our age a little bit here, but that was a game. We all remember that being a close game. LSU has only won this matchup twice since then. And when they do, it's by a couple points. On the flip side, Alabama's won this one a bunch of times. And most of the time when they do, it's by like 2 scores.
Yes.
Comfortably. They have scored 42 points in each of the last 2 matchups over the last 2 seasons against LSU. I would be surprised, frankly, if they did it again, since LSU is at least better on defense this time around, but we can't rule anything out. We don't know the headspace for LSU. They just lost a coach, making some changes. What is the morale going to be like in Baton Rouge? I don't know.
Right.
For what it's worth, the TPS report has this one at Bama minus 13. Which is, again, even more potatoes. Here is my curiosity for you. My curiosity is this. They made a coaching change at LSU, yeah?
As far as I can tell, yes.
It wasn't just Brian Kelly. It was also Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator. Alex Atkins. Remember that name?
I do. Florida State. Yep.
Alex Atkins, who was the tight ends coach, is going to be the new play caller for LSU this week. Obviously, as you just mentioned, he's got some experience as an offensive coordinator, was mostly successful at Florida State before the 24 campaign, which
other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Yeah.
Other than that, everything was pretty good in his tenure at Florida State.
Sure.
He's since moved on. He's at LSU now. Is there any chance that given the switch at play caller, maybe a quick switch of culture, I don't know if that's even possible.
Yeah.
Is there a chance we could see a better version of the LSU offense on Saturday night that maybe could challenge Alabama in a game like this?
Man, normally I would say no, just because Alabama's excellence is pretty obvious on offense and defense. They don't run the ball that well. It hasn't mattered that much. They've dealt with some injuries, of course. There is the ABF of it all, though, Ty. That's the after Brian factor.
Yeah.
How long did it take before those stories kept coming out and coming out and coming out, where it was like, here's what it was like behind the scenes at LSU under Brian Kelly? It was a lot of people who were like, no, I will definitely go on the record to talk about how much I don't like Brian Kelly.
You know what it reminds me of with Brian Kelly?
Yeah.
And we've seen this a couple times now. Whenever he leaves a place, the stories come out almost immediately.
How much time you got is basically what everybody's response was.
It's like when the New York Times has an obituary pre-written.
Correct.
And as soon as somebody passes, they just fill in the details, the date, the time, the cause of death, and they're ready to hit publish almost immediately.
Yeah.
That's how it feels when BK leaves a place and you start getting these postmortems that come out with, as you said, people who are ready, willing, and able to go on the record.
Yeah. It was like I had no relationship with him. I don't think he knew my name. When I got, sick and was in the hospital, he never even reached out at all. it was a lot of that. And so I think there is an after Brian factor. I think shoulders might be a little bit looser, a little bit more relaxed. Do you disagree?
No, I don't. This is why I asked the question, to be honest with you.
I don't love this offensive line any more than where it's played this season. I don't love the lack of balance on offense, especially given the talent at running back that LSU definitively has. It's just the running game and the blocking haven't been there, and the balance and the play calling hasn't been there. I have LSU covering this game.
Okay.
I have the emotion of this game, LSU rising to the moment enough that they're able to make this interesting. We have not seen a bulletproof Alabama team this year, and I'm not even counting Florida State. But, Vanderbilt played them tough for most of that game. Obviously, South Carolina was in line to beat Alabama. This hasn't been a team that is controlled 4 quarters every week, and that's okay. It's college football. That's an unrealistic expectation. But I think here, LSU has the opportunity to get to like high teens, around 20, and I don't see Alabama scoring more. I think the A&M game was an outlier in terms of performance for LSU, which is why they made the change. And they were up. They played well. They turned over Marcel Reed in that first half. They did a good job situationally.
Yeah, they did.
So I have Bama here 27-20.
27-20 would be a great game.
It would be really
I'm rooting
fun.
For a good game here.
Yeah.
I really am.
So I'm taking the points.
I root for good, close games all the time.
There's also, by the way, I know I'm jumping in once again. You work in a basement all day. I work in a basement all day. I lean into the fact that I work in a basement. There's no getting around it. You've had bad days in your life. I've had bad days in my life. One of the best things you can do if you're stressed out, if things are chaotic around you, if you're having a bad day, you got to go for a walk. You got to get outside. You need some fresh air. Things are chaotic in Baton Rouge. I love that this game is on the road for LSU. I love that they're getting on a plane. They're getting on a bus. They're staying in a hotel. I think that's great for the Tigers that they can get away from the noise.
Should we have a new segment called Real Talk with Dan Rubenstein?
Real Talk with Dan Rubenstein. Get outside. Real Talk with Dan Rubenstein. Get outside.
I hear you. Look, my curiosity is whether or not the ABF thing is real.
The after Brian factor, yeah.
And if Alex Atkins can find something with this offense that Joe Sloan didn't.
Don't love that.
I don't know. I'm just, it's fair to ask the question.
I agree.
I've got 33-20 Alabama.
Okay.
So maybe it's 27-20, and then there's a late score, late pairing of field goals or something. But
front door cover.
I've got it at a 13-point spread in favor of Bama because that's what the computer said. The TPS report, I think with the proper modifications, was actually quite close last week.
Okay. Well, I'm going to need the cold, hard data. I'm going to see what the TPS model did against the spread.
I still am trying to figure out a way that I can present this visually to you and others because I owe that to the ballerhood.
Right.
But I first need to get the model in a point where it's respectable.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's go rapid fire through a few other games that are going on this week, okay?
Yep.
This one's on Big Ten Network, 4:30. It is number 24, Washington, an 11.5-point favorite on the road at Wisconsin. Dan, who you got?
Man, if Wisconsin had shown anything offensively up to this point, I would love Wisconsin here just because Washington has struggled so much on the road under Jed Fish. It just hasn't been, and what's the weather, by the way, this week in Madison?
I have no idea. You're the weatherman
Ty.
of the show.
I am okay, here we go.
I mean, I took a meteorology class up at Penn State.
How'd you do?
I did great. It was an awesome course.
Well, that qualifies you. That's fine.
I love meteorology.
What time is kickoff?
I took one class.
What time is kickoff?
4:30. 4:30.
Okay. It looks like 4:30 p.m., a little bit of light rain, in the 30s, low 40s.
Okay.
So not ideal.
That won't be a foreign situation for Washington.
It will not be a foreign situation for Washington. I'm taking Washington just because Wisconsin offensively struggles to score double digits. Like a full struggle to score double digits. And Washington's defense is not good at all. But if I'm going to choose one thing in this game to feel confident in despite a lack of performance, it's probably going to be Washington's defense over Wisconsin's offense. So what's the number again? 11?
11.5.
11.5 points. Yeah, I think Washington wins this game 30-10.
Okay. We did have an application come through.
27-10, 24-10. I don't know. Somewhere between 24 and 30 points to 10.
We had an application come through.
Oh, tortured fan base?
We had an application come through for somebody who wants to test out my jinxing prowess with respect to locks of the week.
Oh, nice.
This one comes to us from Aaron. Quote, my proposed lock is a Washington victory and cover over Wisconsin. The motivation for the application is that my mom, a devoted Badger fan, deserves to see at least one Power 4 win this year. I've betrayed my mother when it comes to her Badgers, and I would like to start making amends. Growing up, she took me to many Badger and other sporting events, and she's the reason I'm a big sports fan. Instead of attending UW, just down the street from home, I chose Ohio State. Good Lord.
That's
which
tough.
was both a long drive away and the nemesis of her Michigan-based family. Unfortunately, I also dismissed her concerns about Luke Fickell since year one. Give him time. Look at what he accomplished at Cincinnati, I kept repeating. Well, this application is my olive branch to say that, as usual, my mom was right all along. We're doing this one for you, Aaron, okay?
Lock of the week.
Washington minus 11.5. Lock it up, Dan Rubenstein.
Whoa. So you
Lock
have
it up, baby.
aggressively Pacific Northwest with your Week 11 locks. Oregon and Washington on the
I
road?
suppose.
In the cold?
This is a double test of Ty's Jinx. By the way, Erin also submitted her receipt of a $25 donation to Locks of Love.
See?
To make it official.
Put her money where her mouth is. Yeah.
Thank you, Erin. Good on you. We'll see if it works, okay?
I
I'm
love
doing
that.
my part. 7 p.m. ACC Network. Florida State at Clemson. Clemson is a 2-point favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this game is not what we thought it was going to be at the start of the year.
Not at all.
This looked like this is going to be a big one for the ACC, maybe playoff implications. As it stands right now, Mike Norvell very much on the hot seat. And also something that has sort of flown under the radar. Clemson has 5 losses, Dan.
They do.
They have 5 losses, and their remaining 3 games are Florida State at home, and then Louisville and South Carolina, both of which are on the road.
Yeah.
I don't want to be all doom and gloom here.
By the way, that Louisville game, I believe, is short week on the road.
Short week on the road, that's
on a
right.
Friday night, yeah.
I am not trying to be doom and gloom. I am not trying to be sensationalist. There is a non-zero chance, actually a legit chance, that Clemson finishes 4-8.
Yeah.
Which would be madness. Madness, given the starting point. Like most returning production in the country, they went on that run at the end of last year. Damn, they won a playoff game. A 4-8 season on the heels of all that. I mean, somebody's got to ask Dabo questions about that.
Oh, they do every week. He just went off
I know
on
they
like...
do, but someone's got to ask the administration about that.
You're right.
Okay? Like, is that okay? Are we... I'm not advocating a firing or anything. I've seen some of the entries that have already come into our game. People are projecting that, and a non-zero amount of people are projecting that Clemson could open. I don't necessarily buy that, but 4-8 would definitely be a black eye, given the starting point.
Has there been, I don't want to go down like a long Clemson road here, just because they've been disappointing, and I don't want to, beat a dead horse kind of thing.
Sure.
Has there been a coach to pull a program out of this after the heights Clemson had to fall to this depth in terms of everybody questioning his ability as a coach now, right? His hires, his scheme, his practices, whether they have to do with, like NIL and portal stuff, his stances about the modern game. Like, I'm trying to think of a coach. We've seen coaches decline after winning national championships. Guys like, we've seen coaches get fired 2 years after winning a national championship, but like guys who were like legends at, Mac Brown at Texas, Bobby Bowden at Florida State, that they couldn't pull their program back out of the muck. Yeah. And I feel like we are just sort of entering something pretty ugly considering where Clemson has been this season. They haven't been a bad program. They've competed for the ACC. They've won the ACC recently, but this was supposed to be the special year.
It was. And look, I think the point of comparison is always Saban. Everybody thinks of Saban right away, but Saban was a black swan.
Yeah.
Saban was the best coach to ever do it in college football. And I think it is much more common that you've got a situation like at Clemson where you've got a coach who's been there a while, who's been very, very successful, right? I mean, you can't take that away from Dabo. He's been great. But it doesn't last forever. None of this stuff lasts forever, and it clearly has not lasted at Clemson. Now, it's been made worse by the fact that they lost Bryant Wesco for the year.
Yeah.
Back injury, which is a pretty big blow to the offense. An offense, by the way, that already had some issues. Didn't stop them from scoring 45 last week, but clearly he was a big part of the offense, a trusted name out wide. I don't know where it goes from here for Clemson. I don't know where it goes from here for Florida State. But this is a very interesting matchup that I think could help dictate the terms moving forward for both of these schools. Florida State is 4-4. For their part, all 4 of the losses were by 1 score.
Yes.
I actually think Florida State's the better team right now.
Okay.
I think they're better on offense. I think they're better on defense. I don't think it's by a wide margin. I think this will be a good game. I think there's a reason why there's a 2-point spread on this one here. But I've got Florida State winning this one outright in Death Valley, 27-24 at night.
I had it 28-23. Yeah, I think they win
Florida
as well.
State?
Florida State. Yeah. Clemson hasn't been winning these games. Klubnik had a really nice game last week against Duke.
Really nice game. In a losing effort.
They haven't been closing these games. And so I think it's going to be reasonably close, not that Florida State's been a game closer either, but at least it seems like there's a little bit of momentum after beating Wake last week. Beating them down, by the way. A big week for Thomas Castellanos. So I'm going to go Florida State to win by 4 or 5 here.
Yeah, and let me just say this, and then, again, we got all these games. We got to rip through them.
Yeah, that's fine.
But, I am not over here saying that they should fire Dabo or that he should retire or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But I am, more than anything, very curious to see how Clemson, as a program, as an administration, deals with this situation.
Yeah.
Because, frankly, we saw what happened up at Penn State. A very itchy trigger finger, right? To move on from James Franklin, it's not exactly the same situation like they got at Clemson, but it is another situation where there's a program kind of spinning its wheels. There's I think, an open question about where it goes from here. What's the trajectory?
Yep.
Right. To use Pat Kraft's words, I don't know what Clemson does, and I don't know what Dabo does, but this has not been a good year, and the starting point was really high, so it's kind of a bummer across the board.
Agree.
7 p.m. ESPN, Wake Forest at Virginia. Virginia is a 7-point favorite here. Are you confident in Virginia covering 7 against Wake?
Long travel week, going to and from Berkeley last week. A nice win there. Barely getting by North Carolina. Virginia's winning close. What have I called their excavators? Just like a couple other programs, figuring out ways to dig out a win.
Is Virginia an LRO team for you at some point this year, though? You feel like the luck runs out for Virginia, or are they not that kind of team? Are they just a scrappy team that is comfortable being down in the mud and the blood and the beer?
Buddy, they've already got to how many wins? They've already gotten to 8 wins.
They've already got to 8 wins.
It doesn't matter if they lose out. Virginia getting to 8 wins is already a huge success. It's going to be disappointing if they lose out. So, yes, I think they're going to lose one of these next 2 games against Wake at home or at Duke. I think that's the likeliest outcome, that they're going to split these 2. I think they'll be okay against Wake. I like the Virginia defense. There's nothing that Virginia does terribly where you feel like they're getting lucky. Now, if we say winning is a skill, Virginia is not distancing themselves from basically anyone. They're winning a bunch of close games, which is good. It's better than losing close games, obviously. I just don't like Wake's offense that much. So I think Virginia and their ability to close out games can win a low-scoring game ugly. So I have Virginia winning this game 20-17. So I guess Wake Forest covering, right?
Yeah. I've got this one in the computer at Virginia -10.
Okay.
And I think I had Virginia -10 last week against Cal, and I sort of
they won by
didn't trust it, but I went with it, and they did. They won 31-21. So I'm going to stick with it again. I've got this one a little higher scoring. I'm still not crazy sold on the Who's, but they're doing it. They're finding ways to get it done. Let's go 38-28.
By the way, a little bit
Who's at home.
Not the sort of stage of Mississippi State, Georgia necessarily. Let down look ahead sandwich here as well, just because of the travel against Cal. I don't think Cal's all that good right now. And having the big matchup on the road against Duke next week. Just in terms of the ACC race, it seems like a letdown look ahead spot.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
7:30 NBC, Navy at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, a healthy favorite, 26.5 points. Dan, Anything you want to say about this game?
I always try and talk myself into a good Surface Academy team against Notre Dame, and it very, very rarely works out for that Surface Academy, just because I think Notre Dame had their off week. I think they had their clunker last week. I think it's a get-right situation. They should be able to score plenty. They should be able to get off the field on defense. I see it as a sort of typical game for Notre Dame against Navy, Army, whoever, that after a quarter, it's like, oh, God, we're at 7-6. And then it opens up. So I have this as Notre Dame 31-13.
I think Notre Dame wins and covers this point spread.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think offensively they should be able to do mostly whatever they want against Navy.
Yeah.
It's whatever they want to work on. I think they're better across the board. It will be an interesting test for their run defense.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how their run defense looks. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see a few moments in this game where Navy's able to make some hay on the ground. That's just what Navy does, and they're very good at it. So I think they will ask some new questions of the Notre Dame defensive front. I'm curious to see how well they hold up. But when Notre Dame has the ball, I just don't see much resistance from the midshipmen. So I think they win this one comfortably by like 28.
Yeah, the Navy pass defense, like I think CJ Carr, actually the Navy defense in general, like you said, they should be able to do whatever they want.
I think whatever they want, yeah.
I think we're going to see somebody with like a ridiculous number, like Jadarian Price with 218, or CJ Carr with 384, something like that.
Let's travel back in time for a second if we can.
Boo-doo-doo.
Let's go to Friday night, 9 p.m. on ESPN. This is a big one in the G6. It is Tulane on the road at Memphis. Memphis is a 4.5-point favorite, Dan. I was looking a lot at Tulane ahead of this one. Tulane's a real interesting case study because basically it's a bad defense against the run and especially against the pass.
Mm-hmm.
And the offense is fairly one-dimensional. It's like whatever Jake Retzlaff can do on the ground. That is Tulane football in 2025. They did manage to beat Duke earlier in the year, but they profile, I think right now, as a much worse team than Memphis. They just lost a week ago to UTSA, and it wasn't particularly close.
Right.
So coming into this one, I really like where Memphis is at. They've also been very quarterback dependent, though. It's a lot on whatever Brendan Lewis can do. He has had a good year, both through the air and on the ground. I think the difference for them is that he's got a much better supporting cast.
Yes.
And I can't credit Memphis and Ryan Silverfield enough for how they have flipped the switch and changed the philosophy of this offense to meet what he is good at. Because if you look at what they did the last couple years under Seth Hennigan, it was not a running quarterback. They didn't have that at all. This year they have adapted this offense in a way that suits Brendan Lewis's skill set in a really meaningful way. He's a good dual threat quarterback in the system, and they have gotten the most out of that. I think Tulane's going to have a really hard time stopping him.
Same.
I think they're going to have a really hard time stopping him, particularly on the ground and just in general this ground attack for Memphis, which has done a really, really good job this year. I think the Tigers win comfortably. And it's like 34-21, something like that.
I think I'm with you, too. I think Memphis is in a better place. I think they do more well. And as fun as it was to see UTSA play well at home, I just think away it's just going to be a more difficult situation. I think Memphis has I think they seem, like UAB game notwithstanding, obviously, they seem locked in this stretch run. It's it's going to be a very fun November in the American. I'm going Memphis here. I think they win by double digits, 10, 11 points.
And to see their name on that bracket has to be something of a watershed moment for this program.
Sure.
Memphis has been a serious player on the G5, G6 level for a while. This is a program that is getting investment from FedEx on the NIL side, right? This is a program that I think fashions itself as a very serious player in college football moving forward.
Yeah.
And so just to see their name on that board is a proof of concept. But now they got to bring it home. They got to win out. They got to win the conference if they want to get into the playoff. I think the American winner stands a pretty good chance, probably the best chance of any, to find their way into that field. But obviously a lot can happen between now and the end of the season. But,
yeah. And Memphis is playing good complementary football, right? They're not leaning on any one thing for success.
No.
Whereas, the Tulane loss at UTSA wasn't great. And I just don't think, especially the defense for Tulane, is where it needs to be.
Let's do some under the radar games, Dan. I got a bunch here. Let's get through them quick. Let's start at high noon ACC Network. We've got SMU, a 10.5 point favorite on the road at Boston College. So I bring this up because, SMU had a big win a week ago against Miami.
Yeah.
Possible letdown game for them now as they travel up the Chestnut Hill. But also there is this element of, hey, did you hear Bill O'Brien? Is Boston College melting down? Like, what is going on at Boston College? What is SMU's headspace going to be? 10.5 points is a lot. I could really see it from both sides just as I'm sitting here with my psychologist hat on.
Yeah.
That could be kind of weird.
Boston College hasn't been doing anything well this year. They lose by double digits every week. They lost close to Cal. That was like kind of it. Yep. They won their first game against Fordham and lost to everything else. It is a letdown spot. It is for sure a letdown spot traveling across the country to Chestnut Hill. I don't see it, man.
I don't either.
I don't see it. I think SMU probably doesn't win by a lot. I think it is like an ugly game, but I just don't think BC has that fire, that pop. As much as Bill O'Brien wants to say, like, things are great, everything's great, everybody's heads high. It's like, oh man, this dude's losing it a little bit.
Yeah, I've got it at something like Notre Dame game was 25-10, something like that. I let's go 21-10, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
somewhere in that neighborhood is what I'm thinking.
Same.
3:30 on Fox. Iowa State at TCU. TCU favored by 6.5. So my crazy Big 12 tiebreaker scenario involves TCU winning out, BYU beating Texas Tech, but then losing to Cincinnati, and then someone along the way, maybe Kansas State beating Utah. And if all of those things happen, that's how TCU gets into the Big 12 title game. I don't think that's likely.
Right.
But I like to game plan these things. We have not talked much about TCU, have we?
We have not.
We both
tough November.
liked them a pretty good amount before the year got started. But TCU right now has sort of been off the radar. They've been a whisper quiet 6-2. Statistically, a little bit worse than last year, but still 6-2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like them giving 6.5 points in a game like this, really in a game like any game, okay? I think this is more like TCU -3.
Okay.
So I'm on Iowa State here. I think TCU wins. I've got it at 34-31 Horned Frogs.
Yeah, neither of these teams cover. But it's TCU coming off of a bye with their particular strength going up against Iowa State's specific weakness. Obviously, the injuries in their secondary, their pass defense has not been good. Their red zone offense has not been good. They can neither generate nor prevent big plays. I think TCU comfortably wins this game, and I have them covering. I have them win this game by a couple touchdowns, like, 31-17,
You want to lock this up?
34-20. Let's lock it up. Why not, for our TCU friends?
Lock of the week.
TCU's lost. Excuse me. Iowa State's lost 4 in a row.
Yep.
They just got stomped by Jeff Sims on the ground. What's the reason for Iowa State belief now going to Fort Worth? Very difficult to see for me.
3:30 CBS Sports Network. Duke -9 at the UConn Huskies. What?
Yeah. Jim Calhoun, Mike Krzyzewski. Who's going to come out on top?
We have not talked a whole lot about Jim Mora and the UConn Huskies, but
football. Okay.
They're going to finish like 8-4, 9-3. Going to go to a bowl game. They're not amazing, but I think UConn is way better than most people realize.
Okay.
And we called that out before the year. UConn's pretty good. Jim Mora's done a good job. Also, possible letdown spot for Duke.
It's true. Letdown look ahead, right?
Letdown look ahead, yeah.
You beat Clemson, you got Virginia, right? That's where Duke is on their schedule?
Yeah. So if the Mississippi State game that we mentioned earlier is a potential letdown look ahead spot for the Georgia Bulldogs, look at this UConn matchup.
That's true.
Could the Huskies pull an upset here?
Sorry, I've been thinking this whole time about doing a back and forth between like mid 2000s, late 90s UConn and Duke basketball players. And I don't know if you want to go first with Hashim Tabit or Cherokee
Trajan
Parks.
Langdon.
Hilton Armstrong, UConn.
He had the big neck, right?
I don't remember his neck size.
He had a
It's
huge
possible.
neck.
Thomas Hill, not Grant Hill. Thomas Hill.
Thomas Hill, yeah.
Duke. Okay. I would love to do an episode about
Cherokee Parks.
Yeah, I said Cherokee Parks. Come on.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Cherokee, I have a watch.
You can take your pick of oh god, now I'm forgetting the tall twins for Duke. I'm losing my mind. There's one of them's at least still in the NBA, I believe.
Mason Plumlee?
Yeah, you can take your Plumlee pick.
Yeah.
Brothers, twins, I don't remember. Okay. I like Duke here. I do like Duke here. I think they're playing good football. The defense has been what's been killing them.
Yeah, which is weird because that's Manny Diaz's thing,
That's
right?
his thing. So I figured the defense would be performing better, but I think they're in a better place. I think offensively they've been rolling and running the ball. So I'm going Duke here.
I got Duke by 7. I don't think they cover. I think it's 31-24.
Okay.
Like that. 4 o'clock SEC Network.
Hilton
the
Armstrong,
Auburn
long
Tigers.
neck. Long neck. Absolutely.
Hilton Armstrong?
Hilton Armstrong, long neck. Yes, and he's
Yeah.
coaching or at some point recently coached the Santa Cruz Warriors G League team.
I just remember the neck for Hilton Armstrong.
Yeah. All right.
Where was it? 4 o'clock SEC Network. Auburn at Vandy. Vandy favored by 7. The TPS report is Vandy minus 7.
So who do you like?
Is the bottom going to fall out of Auburn now that they fired Hugh Freeze?
Or is the top going to grow?
Or is the top?
Is it going to be an augmentation of sorts?
So, like, Auburn's tendency has been to get into close games regardless of the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a little bit of Mississippi State there. We saw back-to-back road games earlier in the year. Oklahoma and A&M both were very close. I kind of think this could end up being another game like that. Like, I think the point spread's right on the number. My lean is Vandy. My pick is, I guess, going to be Vandy. I would not bet this game with actual money with like a 1,000-foot pole. Because I don't know what to expect. But I just kind of think it's like an ugly game. I think it's a one-score affair. Those are the types of games that Auburn finds itself in. To an extent, I think those are the types of games that Vanderbilt's comfortable in, right? So Vandy's the better team. Vandy's the more organized side for sure. Auburn might have some players on the roster with more upside, but I don't know if they're organized enough to win like this on the road at Vandy. So I'm going to go Vandy here, but I'm not confident about that.
I have Vandy covering and it being low scoring. How about that?
Okay,
20-10 Vandy. By the way, Auburn going interim head coach DJ Durkin. Woof.
Yeah.
Next.
7:30 SEC Network. Florida -3 on the road at Kentucky. One team lost its coach. The other talking about maybe getting rid of the coach at the end of the year. I don't know. Give me Kentucky plus the points at home.
I'm going Florida here. I kind of thought Kentucky would be favored or like have it even be a closer line, but I think Florida played with juice last week against Georgia.
They did. Okay.
I'm going Florida
fair.
here to win on the road.
I've got Florida -1 as my number.
Okay. I have Florida winning this by a touchdown.
I'm going to go Kentucky plus the points.
17-10 Gators.
Lean here. 9 p.m. on Fox. Nebraska without Dylan Raiola on the road at UCLA. UCLA now favored by 3 points. The computer didn't know what to do with this game. So that goes out the window completely. This is all feels, all vibes for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I am inclined to go UCLA here because I don't know what Nebraska is going to look like for a full 60 minutes without Dylan Raiola.
So you're going to have an inexperienced quarterback now play behind this line that Dylan Raiola was unable to stay upright behind. And you're traveling to UCLA, a weird environment. I like UCLA here. I think they win this game. When your team is down and vibes are bad and then you have to travel to Pasadena, I think it's just recipe for slop. We saw it last year with Iowa losing at UCLA. We saw it this year with Penn State losing at UCLA. UCLA is not especially good, which is why they fired their coach after like an hour and a half into the season. I'm going UCLA to win this game by a touchdown against Nebraska.
Yeah,
weird, low, ugly, 20-13.
And let's travel back in time one more time. 8 p.m. FS1. Big matchup in the Big 12.
Yes.
Houston -1.5 on the road at UCF, Dan. Wrong team is favored here.
The Yakos, home dog of the week.
I like Houston. I've been talking up Houston all year.
Yeah.
UCF should be favored by 3 points in this game. Give me the Knights at home outright.
Wow. Why?
I'm just going based off the TPS report.
Just the TPS report. You're leaning into the model.
I'm leaning into the model.
All right. So
and the model tells me that UCF in this spot should be a 3-point favorite.
Certainly better at home. The way that they lost last week to Baylor after a bye on the road was ugly. So better in the bounce house. I get it. Houston coming off of their last couple games. It's been eventful, right? Competing with ASU. Houston losing to West Virginia. I'm going to go bounce house as well here. I think UCF wins by 3 or 4.
There you have it. Any other games on your radar, Dan, that I did not mention? We covered a lot of ground there. Again, if you're waiting for more info on BYU, Texas Tech, or Oregon, Iowa, I have good news for you. We talked about those games for about 20, 25 minutes on the Tuesday episode. So go back and listen to that for more details towards the end of the episode. We did talk extensively about both.
Just if you could drop that big, stanky, dripping, drooling, driving drum and fife.
Oh, baby.
Punishing.
High noon Eastern time. Holy Cross 1-8 on the road at Murray H. Goodman Stadium against the Lehigh Mountain Hawks. Lehigh is 9-0. Dan Rubenstein, who you got?
Lehigh big. It's not quite a look-ahead spot yet because the Lafayette game isn't until the 22nd.
Correct.
That game looks like it's going to decide the conference. Of course, no championship game, I don't believe, in the Pat League. So I really do hope that game has the stakes we hope it does. So I'm going to go Lehigh big here.
Yeah, Lehigh won, I believe, 41-0 last week over Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge showing by them. By the way, Lehigh, by virtue of that win, is now up to number 4. I've got 4 fingers up here. Number 4 in the FCS.
Who's ahead of them? How many Dakotas?
It is North Dakota State, it is Montana, and it is Montana State.
Oh,
ahead
nice.
Of
the Montana's with more of a top presence. I guess South Dakota State just lost to North Dakota State in the marker game.
I'm telling you right now, if Lehigh is playing, provided things keep going as well as they are, Lehigh is going to get probably a first-round bye in the FCS title tournament. And in all likelihood, they're going to have a home game or 2 or 3.
Is that the Lafayette game is in Easton, so that's a body clock game, right? That's a big travel situation.
Yeah, it's like a 15-minute bus ride to get over to Easton from Lehigh.
And if memory serves, both like the Penn State Oregon game, both Big Noon and Game Day are doing Lehigh Lafayette. They're doubling up.
12:30. Colgate 4-5 on the year. Speaking of which, the Yetis of Lafayette 6-3 hosting this one at Fisher Stadium. Who you got?
Is it even a question? You go Yetis.
Gotta go Yetis.
Yeah.
We're going Yetis. Okay. 1 o'clock. Bucknell versus Fordham. It's the Nellies. It's the Hammies. Neither team is particularly good. Fordham is worse. Give me the Nellies on the road.
Yeah, I'm going Nellies as well. Bucknell can get it done. Sure. Fordham's been a nightmare.
And last but certainly not least, Richmond, the newcomer in the Pat League, has been scraping, has been clawing their way to 5-4 this year in conference. Overall, they are squaring off against Georgetown also 5-4, Dan. I believe, and I don't have the records in front of me here, I believe this would be Richmond's first trip to multi-sport field, at least as a member of the Patriot League.
Yeah, so I'm going Richmond here. Georgetown has scored 89 points and given up 124 points in conference, so the offense just not there. Richmond actually behind as well. They've scored 10 fewer than they've allowed, but it's not as quite a discrepancy. I'm going Spiders here.
You got to go Georgetown.
By the way, do you see?
Field.
So Bill Connolly ranks like all 700 D1, or not D1, but FBS, FCS, D2, D3, NAIA, and he sets lines between divisions, and like I I think Boston College would be a 10-point underdog to Harvard at this point. Within Boston College is not the team. Harvard. And there was something like Texas Tech against somebody would be favored by, oh God, it was like Texas Tech versus, I'm going to get this wrong. It wasn't the Citadel. We mentioned the Ole Miss Citadel line before, but it was like Texas Tech, Tarleton State would be closer than you'd think because Tarleton's pretty good this year.
Tarleton's pretty good.
Yeah, I think they're top 10, top 15.
Yeah, they're down to 6. They lost last week. But by the way, your top 10 looks like North Dakota State, Montana State, Lehigh.
Yeah.
Tennessee Tech, Tarleton, then Monmouth, South Dakota State, Harvard.
Yeah.
And Villanova.
Texas Tech would be a 99-point favorite against East Texas Baptist. Yale would be a point favorite against Stanford.
Oh, my God.
And he said, this is Bill Connolly, the race for number 766 is coming down to the wire, end quote.
Oh, my gosh.
It's great.
I absolutely love it.
It looks like it's between Oberlin and the Maine Maritime Academy, with New England College looking to separate itself just a little bit. But yeah, North Dakota State overall, number 48 in the country. Harvard, 69. Tarleton State, 85. And then, yeah, Lehigh's at 107. So Harvard ahead of Lehigh. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's coming down to it. Can't wait.
If you got stuff going on this weekend.
Oh, please. This is the last soccer weekend for us.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Both boys have their final game of the fall season. It picks up in the spring.
So did you blow it off last weekend?
No, I went to soccer. There was only one game. We had a bye week. It was a tough battle. The little guys team won. Physical, tough, a lot of words on the sideline.
Really?
Great. Oh, yeah. Not really.
What are you telling him about, like, slide tackling, physical play out there? Are you teaching him the flop yet, or is it too early for that?
The only thing I tell my kids with soccer is don't be mean to kids. Like, don't throw elbows, don't throw forearms, don't rip people down by their jersey or anything like that, but don't get pushed around, right? Play a little mean. Don't be a mean kid on the soccer when you're 40 years old.
I mean, because you were a noted quasi-dirty pickup basketball player from what you told me.
I developed into that.
Right.
This wasn't like something I started from day one. As a peewee athlete, I shied away from contact, Ty. I really did. And then I learned that it's much more fun to mix it up a little bit more when you're playing extremely low-level rec league. But no, I just tell them to play a little mean. And I think the message has gotten through.
I think your window is late. I would make a later date night.
Okay.
In week 11. I think you want to get them in now because, look, down the stretch in November, obviously we got holidays and stuff coming up, but we don't know how the season is going to break the last like 3 or 4 weeks of this.
Yeah.
So I would arrange the date nights now. Like, you know, if you can see cats somewhere. Are you doing it?
Oh, I'm going out Friday night for Jody with an Eye's birthday.
You don't count.
Yes, I do.
You're going to be with me on.
There's football on Friday. I'm still going out.
Okay, well, I'm not talking about Friday.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm trying to get the romance in, Ty. I'm trying to make it all happen.
All right. That's your window.
Okay.
Go see cats late. Your quad. I won't play the sound today because we're already over time here. But you got a really good early quad situation, like at high noon. I don't know what the YouTube, TV, ESPN situation is going to be this week. That I got to deal with that again. Hopefully not. But stay tuned to see if the big wigs can come to some sort of agreement.
It was super fun to buy a day pass for Sling and then put it on the second TV and have Sling tell me, only one screen.
Only watch one screen. Yeah, great. It's great stuff.
Cool.
We're going to have to go back to the pirate feeds.
Yeah.
12 o'clock, you've got BYU, Texas Tech, Indiana, Penn State, Georgia, Mississippi State, and then just for kicks, SMU, Boston College, all of which could be interesting in some way, shape, or form. And then we got some representation for, I guess, all 4 of the Power 4 conferences.
Yep, for sure.
If you're interested. So, look, go and check out our game, solidverbal.com/carousel. It's free. If you want to support what we do, go to verballers.com and sign up for Run the Board. That's the Pick'em game where you pick 12 games each week. The winner this week gets a $150 DoorDash card. Not a sponsor. Absolutely could be.
Sure.
I was thinking, since this is a longer than usual show.
Oh, where are we going with this?
I was wondering if you would have interest in a different kind of secret verbal this week.
Okay, I'm listening.
I don't think we may have tried something like this before, but it's been a long time.
Okay.
Normally what we do is we tell people go to the social media platform of your choosing, usually Twitter, X, whatever we call it these days.
The Everything app. Yeah.
The Everything app. Thank you. And just, we'll give you a word. We want you to tweet something about this to a person. We got Tim Brand out pretty good. He had no idea.
No.
Which I expected. That was brilliant. Thank you, everybody. You did a great job.
Yeah.
We have a lot of media people who listen to this show.
Mm-hmm.
Some are on pregame shows, some producers.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes for pregame shows. We can make a case that this is among the most listened to college football shows among media people in the media class.
Yeah.
Which gives us an opportunity.
And generous Wisconsin fans, apparently.
Yeah, this is also true.
Yeah.
We have a real opportunity here to put a code word out.
I like this.
A secret code word that won't mean anything to people who don't listen, and most people don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. But for our verballerhood, for the people who know and love this show and have made it well over an hour and 25 minutes into the content, what is a word that somebody on air, either a play-by-play guy, an analyst, somebody on a pregame show, a halftime show, you name it, somebody on air, a word that they could say that doesn't really fit, but doesn't not fit, that would give it away, that would be a signal to the verballerhood that they listen, that they love the content.
Sure.
And more importantly, that they're big enough dorks to make it this deep into a show. What is that code word, Dan, that they could mention on air?
Vas deferens. No. The password is.
That would be one, but.
Well, see, that would alert people. Be like, what did he just say? What did RG3 just reference?
RG3 would do that without us prompting.
That's true.
FYI.
Yeah.
But let's go.
Okay, a
option
little
B,
more
yes.
bland. Let's go broccoli.
Broccoli.
If you are hosting a show, if you are calling a game,
okay.
If you are on air in some way, tip your cap to the Solid Verbal by using the word broccoli. The password is broccoli.
Broccoli. How would you use broccoli?
I would use broccoli in referencing somebody being healthy. A football. Look at that offensive line. Look like they've been eating their broccoli.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Or like they show a tailgating scene, and they're saying not a piece of broccoli in sight while there's a bunch of like brats on a grill.
Or you could go the other way and say Auburn hates comfortable wins like they hate broccoli.
Yeah. Great.
So there are a bunch of different ways you could spin this.
There's
people
a
who
chill
are
in
listening.
the air. People with a bowl of broccoli cheese soup. I don't know. That's a stretch.
I mean, you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah.
People don't really listen that closely. Unless to say something totally aghast.
Yeah.
People don't really listen that closely. Okay.
I agree.
Broccoli is the code word.
Mm-hmm.
You know who you are. If you made it this far into the episode, it is now on you to say broccoli somewhere on air. Verballerhood.
If you say Vas deferens, we're going to give you full credit.
You get full credit. You get bonus points.
You get bonus points. Yeah.
Absolutely. But broccoli is the word.
Yeah.
Verballerhood. Let us know if you hear it. We can only patrol so many shows at once.
Yes, correct.
Support what we do by hitting follow or subscribe. Support what we do by going out to verballers.com and signing up for a certified or premium tier. You get ad-free episodes, bonus content every Thursday. You can play and run the board this week and compete, contest.
Whoa.
12 games. That's all you got to pick against the spread. Win a $150 DoorDash gift card, Dan. And, of course, solidverbal.com/carousel. It's the coaching carousel game that we built, and you can play that one for free. Broccoli is the name of the game. It is Screw It Saturday for that guy over there, my good friend Dan Rubenstein. For myself, Ty Hillenbrand, thanks for bearing with us here. Enjoy your Week 11 and give us a call at 855-VERBAL-3. We'll talk to you all Saturday night. Stay solid.
Peace.
Alongside the... What am I saying?
What's going on with you today?
I don't know.
Ty's got the giggles.
You know what? I had too much of that mushroom coffee. I really did. I had too much. I'm going to do the intro again, okay?
Do it. Whatever you need.
3, 2.